Good morning, everybody. Hope y'all are having a good day. So as y'all know, I tweaked my back this week in the gym, and it is feeling better. It's feeling better than I thought it would, to be honest. It's painful. I can definitely tell that there's a strain there. But other than, any kind of heavy spinal loading or any kind of like crazy bending, so I can't pick up anything with bad form. So I'm having to squat down and pick things up and just be careful as I'm getting up and, from the couch or whatever and walking around. But I am icing it, taking some ibuprofen when I need to, and just taking it easy. But other than that, to be honest, I'm gonna go and try and see what I can do for shoulders today. I'm not gonna do any kind of pressing. I was thinking what I'll do is try the seated lateral raise machine, just something really, really light, something that doesn't put pressure on my lower back, making sure to keep, the exercises where my back is flat against a bench. Might try some front raises or the rear delt flies on the pec deck machine. See how it feels. If all else fails, I'll probably just walk on the treadmill or call it a day. But other than that, I feel good. I don't want to... It's hard for me to find the balance between taking time and resting and then turning it into an excuse to not do anything. So trying to find the balance, seeing what I can work with when it comes to this. If anything hurts, of course I will not do it, and I cannot emphasize that enough. But on that note of like injuries and setbacks and things that we get frustrated about, I was actually listening to a podcast this morning, and I wanted to let you guys know because I highly recommend listening to this. It's Physique Science Radio, and if you go on iTunes and you just search Physique Science Radio, it's I followed Lane Norton and So-Hee Lee for a good amount of time. They're the ones that introduced me into the flexible dieting world and mindset. But they have a podcast on iTunes, and I think they put it out maybe once or twice a month. I wish it was more often. But they talk about everything. They talk about nutrition. They talk about training. So-Hee is a bikini competitor, but she also trains for powerlifting as well. Same thing with Lane Norton. He is a powerlifter and a bodybuilder and a flexible dieting coach. And I really, really like their approach to so many aspects of nutrition and fitness. And like I said, it's all about having that flexible mentality. So if you guys are new to the channel, you notice that, the way that I eat is very flexible. So a lot of the stuff that y'all see me eat, like the pizzas that I make, or some of like the processed foods that I get, I do eat them, and I had them throughout my prep, but I include them in moderation into my diet, as I see fit. So some days if I'm craving something, last thing that I want to do is restrict myself and deprive myself from it, because in my mind that's all I'm going to be able to think about. So last night I was craving something sweet, as always, so I made up some protein sludge, but I wanted something else, so I threw in some Enjoy Life chocolate chips, which were amazing. They're dairy-free, soy-free, like nut-free baking chocolate chip that I got at the grocery store, and they're delicious. So I threw them in to my protein sludge. It was just enough to cure my sweet tooth, but at the same time, I didn't have to go overboard. I didn't feel the need to binge as I probably would have in the past. So their approach to nutrition is very similar to my mindset, and I get a lot of my nutritional knowledge and reference information from them and the studies that they reference as well. So I highly recommend checking it out if you guys have time. Go to iTunes, Physique Science Radio. But the podcast that I was listening to this morning was called The Mindset of a Champion. And it was actually really, really cool for me to listen to because Lane was just training for a powerlifting meet. I think it was a national powerlifting meet. And he tweaked his lower back 2 weeks before his meet. And so he's talking about overcoming injuries, overcoming setbacks, and this, you don't have to apply this just to training, because the way that they approach it, you can apply it to all aspects of life. So, to work, with fitness journey, with relationships, things happen, and a lot of it is, the outcome is dependent on how you choose to react to it. So he knew that going into his powerlifting meet that he probably wasn't going to be able to perform at his best. He went about it cautiously, but didn't give up. And it's just kind of a mindset that it brought to light that that's what I try and emphasize with myself and with my clients. And I have people ask me from time to time, how do you stay motivated? How are you so consistent with your training or with your macros? And now, with being vegan, I just have that mentality that I don't ever limit myself. And I know in my mind that I have a goal, and I will and I can do what it takes to reach it. And it's not a matter of not ever having a bad day, because I threw out my back yesterday. I have bad days. But I have that mindset that there will be a way to work around it. And in my faith, I know that I have it within me, that God has given it to me to be able to work through whatever this life is going to throw at me. And recently I've been able to apply it to my vegan lifestyle. I've had just a few instances where, I've had some not so positive comments or feedback towards my changes, which is my personal preference, but regardless, people have their opinions. And so from there, I kind of have to take a step back and focus myself a little bit and think, how can you respond to this in the most positive way at this moment? It might not always be the best thing to say. Of course, in retrospect, you always look back and think of something better. But I don't like to react out of emotion immediately, because too often we get caught up in our emotions and we usually say something that might not always be the best. Same thing with nutrition and with diet. If you're craving something and you act immediately on it, a few hours later, you might look back and think to yourself, you know what, I had it within me to be able to work past this problem. Struggles come up, and if you take a second to step back and evaluate what you can do and what you're capable of, you're actually able to get through a lot more than you give yourself credit for. So that it just kind of brought that into the foreground for me this morning, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Very short little video that I wanted to share with y'all today. Hope it all makes sense. I would love to hear your thoughts on this subject, the mindset of a champion, how mentalities have helped you in your own journey, fitness, work, vegan lifestyle, flexible dieting, bodybuilding, powerlifting, whatever it is. I would love to hear what helps you have the mindset of a champion, and what helps keep pushing you forward, and what helps give you strength. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, you guys. I will give you more random rambles if you like them. And I will see y'all tomorrow.